Genres and subgenres is just a way to describe a movie and say quickly what you can expect from that story. Now, these two words are a little bit funny, right? Genre. It's a G, but it sounds like zh. Now, that's a tricky sound to make. There are not a lot of words in English that have zh. So, genre. It's almost like a J, a little bit like a J sound, but not quite. There's no J. It's zh. So, genre. It's almost like Genrah. Genre. But the reason it sounds so funny is that it comes from French. We've talked about this before. Lots of words in English come from other languages. And so if you see the letters, don't trust the letters, trust what you hear. So if you see this, don't say Genners. That sounds terrible. Say genre, even though the letters look totally different. Trust your ears, not your eyes. That's the thing to remember about English. And then subgenre. So sub means lower. So you can think the genre is the big main idea. And on the menu below that, you'll see the subgenre. So horror, and then below it, sub. The subgenre might be zombie horror. Okay? And so these are interesting ways to describe movies. So let's go over a few big genres that we may have touched on before, but good to review. So, genres that are in movies, let's just go over some basic ones. Action. Pretty self-explanatory. An action story or an action movie has lots of action. Maybe there's fighting or guns or explosions or car chases, all kinds of stuff. Lots of things moving around, lots of action. Another kind is a comedy. Comedy means there are lots of jokes. It's a funny movie. We use this word just to talk about the genre. It's a comedy movie. He does comedy. So it's just the idea of being funny or telling jokes. Okay? Another is drama. Drama. So don't say drama. This D is almost like a J sound again. Drama. Okay? And drama is kind of hard to describe. Now, a lot of people will think, oh, drama is a kind of TV show. Yes, that's true. We talk about Korean dramas or Japanese dramas. But drama, it doesn't mean TV show. It means a kind of story. And it's hard to describe, but I like to think of drama as a movie or a story that makes you feel something. What? What is that? So it's hard to describe just what drama is, right? But if the story isn't funny, it's not exciting like an action movie, it's not scary like a horror movie, but it makes you feel something. Maybe you're feeling sad, oh, or it's very touching, oh, so lovely. Those are drama stories. If it doesn't fit in another genre, it might be a drama, okay? Something that makes you feel powerful feelings, okay? Next up is fantasy. Fantasy usually means things that are impossible. There's no way they could be real. And that could be monsters or magic and wizards and witches. All of that are fantasy. Another is horror. Horror means scary movies. It could be ghosts. It could be zombies. It could be vampires. Whatever. Anything that's really scary. Or it could even just be killers, like a scary murderer. That's horror. Okay? All those others would be subgenres, right? A ghost horror movie or whatever. Okay? Some other genres. Mystery. Mystery means, well, you're wondering what's going on. Maybe there's a crime and they're trying to investigate things. This is usually not really crazy exciting, but slow, and you have to think about what is going on. Kind of like Sherlock Holmes might be a mystery. Okay? And then we have romance. Romance stories are about love, right? And then we have a thriller. This one's a little bit tricky. Thriller is similar to action, and it's similar to mystery. Thriller means there's a lot of suspense. Maybe you're nervous all the time. So that could be like a James Bond movie where there's drama and you're not sure what's happening. There's a mystery, but it's very suspenseful. And there's a little bit of action. Kind of like a lot of spy movies are thrillers. Okay? Next up is a Western. A Western means like a cowboy movie. So it's from the stories like in the 1800s. And there are cowboys in the desert shooting at each other. These are some common genres in Hollywood movies. Okay? And that's it. Now, of course, there are other genres, but these are the big ones. Okay? Oh, I've forgotten my favorite genre. What a dum-dum. My favorite genre is science fiction. And how did I leave it off the list? And science fiction means it's fiction, so it's not a real story, but there's something related to science in there. And usually, it might be like something that could be possible in the future. So fantasy means it's completely fake. There's no way. They're shooting magic and stuff. Science fiction, maybe it could be real someday in the future. Like in 100 years, maybe aliens come to Earth. I don't know. I hope not, but maybe. Okay? Let's see. Okay. Now, next up is subgenres. So like we said, a genre is a kind of story. Subgenre is where you take that big category and make it smaller. You go below it, subgenre. Okay? And so let's take a look at a couple of those. So there are action movies. You might have a martial arts action. When we were talking about fighting, we talked about martial arts, which means different ways of fighting. So martial arts action is a kind of action movie where it's focused on kung fu or karate, something like that. Okay? Another one might be found footage horror. Now, you might have heard about a movie like this. A horror movie is a scary movie. Found footage horror means that the idea is that someone found a tape or a DVD with a story on it. And the idea is that they found footage of something scary happening. Now, there's a new Taiwanese movie that is a found footage horror film. The whole movie, they try to make it seem like it really happened and you just found a DVD or a tape of the movie. Okay? So these are kind of, creepy movies, of course, but they're trying to make it feel like it was real or really filmed by someone. Okay? Another subgenre, high fantasy. Now this one's a little bit, you may have never heard of this, but fantasy, it's about magic and dragons and stuff like that. If it's high fantasy, that means they really go far with crazy magic and stuff. They make it epic and amazing and crazy. So something like Game of Thrones, there's a little bit of magic, but not a lot. Well, for most of the show, or most of the books too. So those are called low fantasy. So it's fake, it's not realistic, but there's not a lot of crazy magic or something. Something that's high fantasy. People are using magic all the time. There are elves and dwarves and monsters everywhere. So high fantasy is like totally crazy, super fantasy. Okay. Another one is called Cyberpunk. I think that's the last. Yeah. Cyberpunk is a subgenre of science fiction. And this is the thing about subgenres. Sometimes they don't have the name of the original genre in the subgenre. So cyberpunk is about the near future where everyone's using computers and maybe they put computers in their brain, or there are people who like have robot parts, and it's a really cool, interesting subgenre, or I think so. But I'm a science fiction nerd. Maybe you wouldn't like it. But something that's cyberpunk might be something like the movie Blade Runner, which is a old, really good classic movie. Okay? So subgenres are pretty cool. Or like it's fun to think about. And next up are hybrid genres. And so lots of movies aren't just one kind of movie. This movie is just an action movie. That's pretty uncommon. Maybe if it's two things mixed together, that's called a hybrid. So hybrid means, yeah, stuff mixed together. So a hybrid genre is when you take two kinds of two genres and mix it together to make one story. This is super common. Okay? And so one might be an action comedy. So they're fighting bad guys, they're driving cars, they're yelling and screaming, but funny things happen at the same time. Maybe, I don't know. I can't think of an example. The movie Bad Boys is an example of action comedy. Or, whatever. So it might be an action movie with a little bit of funny stuff. Okay? Another very common hybrid is romantic comedy. If it's just romance, maybe people will fall asleep. Like, oh, they keep kissing. Or, oh, he keeps bringing her flowers. It might be boring. But if funny things happen too, it's a nice mix. Maybe it's funny. Oh, the guy did a stupid thing. But then it gets romantic. Oh, wow, he's so sweet. And it's more interesting that way, right? Romantic comedies are so common and so popular that we can change this to rom-com. So romantic comedy, rom-com. And because it's so popular and so common. Okay? Another hybrid are superhero movies. This is kind of like a subgenre, kind of like a hybrid, because a superhero movie is a mix of many things together, right? It's a mix of action, sci-fi, and fantasy all together. Action because they're fighting, sci-fi because they might go to space and have aliens or robots, and then fantasy because they're gods and magicians making portals to other worlds and stuff. So this is, you can create many different names of these kinds of genres. So there are no rules to this, so don't worry too much about, oh, is it this or that? It's kind of like a fun exercise to think about. There are no rules, but you shouldn't take it too seriously. But it can be fun and interesting to think about the movies or stories we like and try to figure out what genre they might be. Okay? So, what we're going to do next, we're going to take a look at a few popular movies and a few movies that I like, and take a look at what genres they're in. And I think you guys could do this yourselves. It's a interesting exercise just to see what people say. And so this could help you practice using Wikipedia too. Because if you check Wikipedia for movies you like, they'll usually write the genre right near the top. Okay? So let's take a look at a few movies and see if we can figure out what genres they are and if it's surprising at all. Okay? So first up, what genre is it? In the first movie we're going to look at is that horror movie I mentioned before. And in English, the name is Incantation. Incantation is a fancy word for saying a spell or casting a spell. So it's like something you say and then magic happens. So I haven't watched this yet, but I've heard it's really interesting. And so, what genre is it? Well, you can look up the movie you like on Wikipedia. If you don't know the English name, look up the Chinese name, and then all you have to do, change it to English. That's a great way to find the names of movies, books, and even people, okay? Check Wikipedia for the name you know in Chinese, and then just switch it to English. Okay, so what genre is the movie Incantation? You can see right near the beginning, it says it's a 2022 Taiwanese horror film. So this one's straightforward. What genre is it? It's a horror film, right? And so sometimes, like we said before, the genre is really simple. But then sometimes we get a little bit more tricky. So here's a different movie. This is Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the newest Spider-Man movie. I watched it recently and it was pretty fun. So what genre is it? Well, it's a superhero film. Like we said before, superhero film is kind of a new genre. And it's like a hybrid, a mix of many things together. And so on Wikipedia, sometimes they'll just put superhero film. You could write more, but it's pretty straightforward. You understand what it is when you say superhero film, right? Now, what else? What else can we see? Here's an old movie that I love. This gets to a subgenre. So what genre is it? This movie is called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's from 2000. And you say, what genre is it? Well, it's an Wuxia film. What the heck? So you guys probably can figure out what that means. But Wuxia means a kind of martial arts action movie. Kind of. Not exactly. It's almost its own genre. So you could think of this as a subgenre of action, or you could think of it as its own genre. Like I said, there are not really any rules to this. And so we have, in English, it's a 2000 Wuxia film. And so there's no real good English name for this style of movie, so we take it from Chinese. So it's an Wuxia film. I use AN. Why? Well, this word, you don't really pronounce the W, right? So remember that we put AN if it sounds like a vowel. It sounds like just starts with U, right? Ooh. So it's an Wuxia film. If you pronounce the W, Wuxia, which might be what Americans might do, or people who have never studied Chinese, then you could put the letter A. So it's a Wuxia movie. But for us, we all have studied Chinese before, so we can say it's an Wuxia film. Okay? Now, that's some genres, subgenres. Let's look at a few hybrids. What can we see? So, this is a movie I love. The original one, the first one. So the first movie, Jurassic Park. And what genre is it? Well, right near the top, this is our first real hybrid film. So Jurassic Park is a 1993 American science fiction action film. So it's science fiction and it's action mixed together. So it's a science fiction action film. Okay? What else do we have? We have Top Gun Maverick, another really popular film these days. Again, pretty good, worth checking out. Maybe see it at the theater if you like big spectacles. A spectacle meaning crazy thing to see. Okay, so what genre is Top Gun Maverick? Again, it's a hybrid. It's an action drama film. So there's some action. There's also a lot of drama, meaning strong feelings. So it's an action drama. Now, why do we need these together? Isn't an action movie strong feelings? Well, drama usually means strong feelings like you feel moved or emotional. An action movie, yeah, you'll feel excited, but you won't be like, oh, my heart is beating, usually. So Top Gun is a action drama because sometimes you go, wow, wow, and sometimes you go, cool, cool. Okay? Now, these hybrids can get more and more ridiculous, more and more wild. So let's take a look. This is a movie I love. It's called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I may have mentioned this a while back, but this is a movie that I love. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. But it's a very tricky movie to describe. There's a lot of things happening in it. And so if you say, hey, what genre is it? Well, look at this. It's a romantic science fiction drama film. Okay, so we have three mixed together. It's a romantic science fiction drama. So there's a little bit of love and romance. There's some science fiction and like weird technology. And then it's also a drama. It makes you feel strong feelings, a little bit sad, a little bit touched, that kind of thing. So take a look at some of your favorite movies and see what they have. They might surprise you. I think I have one more. Another movie that I loved when I was in college, so a while back. Again, kind of like this one, it's kind of a long, ridiculous thing. This movie is called Garden State, and it came out when I was like just starting college, and it was a really touching, funny, entertaining movie. And so, what genre is it? Garden State is a romantic comedy drama film. So, three things together. Romantic is an adjective, and so that's why we don't put it together. You could say romance, but they're using it as an adjective here. So, romantic comedy drama film. So there's some love in there. There's some moving parts that are drama. Like you go, oh my gosh, these poor people. Or like, wow, that was so moving. And then there's a lot of comedy. There's many, many funny parts. So these two movies I really like because they move between these three different genres. Like there's some love, there's some feelings, there's some laughs. It's all mixed together. And so Garden State is a romantic comedy drama. Comedy drama has a hyphen because this is a very, very common combination. Okay? Comedy drama. And like we said before, romantic comedy, because it's common, can mix that to be rom-com. Comedy drama is very common. Mix that together and we get a word dramedy. So kind of a funny word. It's drama and it's comedy. So we say it's a dramedy. So Garden State is a romantic dramedy. So yeah, that's a fun way to describe it. I wouldn't really call it a rom-com drama because if you say rom-com, you kind of expect a certain kind of movie, which are a little bit more light and silly. It wouldn't really fit because the drama makes it a little more serious. Okay? So rom-coms are almost always funny and light. By adding the drama part, it makes it less light and a little more serious. So romantic dramedy or a romantic comedy drama would be better for this one. Okay, so yeah, we took a look at some different genres. We took a look at some subgenres and a bunch of different hybrid genres. And so I think this is kind of a fun experiment to go take a look at the movies that you care about and the movies that you love and look them up on Wikipedia and see what people say about that movie. How do they fit it into the genre? And then also, do you agree with that? So I would like you guys to search for your favorite movies and then maybe leave a message with what you find. Okay? So is your favorite movie a sci-fi action movie or is it a psychological horror movie? Meaning they are playing with your mind or what? So yeah, that's your homework. Go on Wikipedia, find your favorite film, and let me know what genre it fits into. I'm curious. Okay, so that's our main idea for our genre subgenre talk. Okay, next up, let's take a look at some movie idioms.